go over domain 5.4, summarize elements of effective security compliance. So in this section, again, we're going to break up this domain into two different parts. We're going to first go over compliance reporting, and then the consequences of non-compliance. Then we're going to get into compliance monitoring and privacy. Compliance reporting internal. So internal compliance reporting involves the processes and procedures used by an organization to monitor and ensure adherence to internal standards and regulatory requirements. Key points. So you can conduct regular periodic internal audits. This ensures employees are aware of compliance requirements and their roles in maintaining standards. And then you can also have continuous improvement. So using findings from internal reports to refine policies, procedures, and controls. Compliance reporting external. So external compliance reporting is the process of providing information to external stakeholders, including regulatory bodies, to demonstrate adherence to legal and regulatory and, of course, data sovereignty requirements. So some key points here. You have mandatory disclosures. So submitting required reports and documentation to regulatory authorities is an example of external compliance reporting. You want to have transparency with stakeholders that are external from the organization. This is investors, customers, and the general public. And then third-party audits. So this is engaging independent auditors to validate compliance status and identify areas for improvement. The consequences of non-compliance. So the first thing we're going to talk about is fines. So obviously we know that there may be some monetary penalties if you're non-compliant. So for example, the GDPR says, hey, if one of these big industries or tech companies like Facebook or Meta does not follow our GDPR rules, we can fine them millions of dollars, right? So of course we have monetary penalties. We have sanctions. So this is considered non-monetary, but it directly affects our economics. So sanctions could just be against another nation state. It could also have limitations on business activities or functions as a result of non-compliance. Essentially, you losing privileges, rights, or licensing if you're non-compliant. Reputational damage. So, of course, you always have to worry about your reputation because the reputational organization may be key in how you make a profit, right? So the loss of an organization's good standing amongst its stakeholders, customers, and the public from a result of non-compliance can damage that reputation. And then the loss of license. So again, not too many off the top of my head that I can think of examples in cybersecurity, but of course, you don't want to be at fault for a reason why you can't handle HIPAA information anymore. And things like that, right? You don't want to have the organization be under scrutiny and a potential loss of losing maybe an operating license because of your cybersecurity shortcomings, okay? Contractual impacts. So the negative effects of contractual relationships obligations due to non-compliance with legal, regulatory, or contractual standards. So this could be a breach of contract. So you could say, hey, we said that this XYZ wouldn't happen to the data, and it did. So that may be a breach of the contract. This may reduce the bargaining power in future contract negotiations with vendors or maybe businesses that you've previously done business with. All right, let's go ahead and do our check on learning. Okay, question 1. What is the main difference between internal and external compliance reporting? So let's see here. Internal compliance focuses on financial audits. No, not going to be A. We're going to go with C. Internal compliance reporting is for internal stakeholders to review adherence to internal policies and procedures, while external compliance reporting is for regulatory bodies and external stakeholders. Awesome. Next question, question 2. What are the contractual impacts an organization might face as a consequence of non-compliance? We're going to go with C. Breach of contract terms leading to termination, financial penalties, or litigation. Question 3. How does ongoing vendor monitoring contribute to effective third-party risk assessment and management? That's going to be B. By continuously assessing the vendor's compliance, performance, and risk posture to ensure alignment with contractual and regulatory requirements. Question 4. What does the loss of license entail as a consequence of non-compliance? That's going to be D. It involves the revocation or suspension of legal permissions to operate certain business activities. Question 5. What is the significance of fines as a consequence of non-compliance? That's going to be A. Fines serve as a financial penalty imposed by regulatory bodies to enforce compliance and deter non-compliance. Then final question, question 6. How does reputational damage affect an organization following non-compliance? So we're going to go with C. It can lead to a loss of customer trust, reduced investor confidence, and negative public perception. All right, 100% guys. Now let's go back to our lesson and go ahead and finish up Domain 5.4.